What is going on, people? It's your boy Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun, and wow, did you guys ever knock it out of the park? So, with my follow-up video to that viral interview I did, I did a bit of a background on me and, why I'm in Japan, all that fun stuff. But in that video, I did promise that if that video got to 30 likes, I would be dropping my 10 top anime of all time. That's right, my favorite animes of all time. You guys smashed it. We are almost at 40 likes, I think. Wow. Honestly, I would have done the video if you got it to even 20. So the fact that it's like 39, basically 40, like, I am so happy. And once again, if this is the first video you're seeing, if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. I'm still getting a lot of attention from that video and a lot of new subscribers, so really appreciate everybody that took the time to check my content. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10. So starting off with number 10, Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. For anybody that has seen this series, you are probably already crying or tearing up just thinking about the tragedy that was Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. I am a big fan of the Gundam franchise. I'm not like super big. I do some Gunpla sometimes. I've seen, Gundam Seed, Destiny, 00, and obviously Iron-Blooded Orphans, but I have to put Iron-Blooded Orphans on top personally, just because the emotions that series put me through. Oh my god, I needed a good break from sad anime after that, and frankly, it's the reason that I just don't have the stomach to watch any anime that's like too sad anymore. I literally can't, I refuse. Not only is the story just fantastic and just heart-wrenching and tragic, tragic is the best word to describe that series, the characters, Mikazuki, Orga, Athra, Kudelia, and even our boy, the horror master Naze. Wow, did they ever tell a hell of a story in that series. So, I'm going to try not to spoil with my top 10, but the reason, in short, that I am putting this at 10, it is tragic, and it quite literally is the reason that I refuse to watch any sad anime anymore. That is one of those series I could watch only once. Go watch it if you haven't, but make sure you stock up on the Kleenex and the tissue before you do. Number 9, and this one might surprise a few people. It's YuGiOh. Specifically the OG YuGiOh, but to be fair, I do believe from all the series that I've seen of YuGiOh, 5Ds was the best one, but I think I'm going to specifically say the OG YuGiOh for nostalgia reasons, but you could, say it's a tie between the OG YuGiOh and 5Ds, because 5Ds was also phenomenal. You say Jack Atlas, a lot of people, card games on motorcycles. The idea sounded crazy, but I'm telling you, like, it's worth a watch. The plot was great, the characters were amazing, like, I think I even watched it at the beginning in English dub, and then, it wasn't available, so I ended up watching Japanese, but this was years ago. For those of you who don't know, and I guess no one would know because I've never really said it on this channel, but I am a huge YuGiOh guy. Since moving to Japan, I don't really have people to play with anymore, and I'm too lazy to upload all my decks to like Master Duel or any of the various, mobile games that they have at the moment, but yeah, OG YuGiOh, I mean, it was my childhood. We used to watch that on TV. It was one of the animes that showed, I think it was daily, I think it was basically every day after school. Even in Canada, back when we were allowed to have anime on TV, it was super nostalgic, and I'm not sure if you can see here, but I actually got all 5, I guess you can't really see it, but you can see the figures, but actually right below me, and I'll probably post a photo, I got Exodia, Obelisk the Tormentor, Slifer, the Sky Dragon, and the Winged Dragon of Ra, as well as all of the cards. I got all 5 pieces of Exodia down there, and all the 3 God cards, and I have basically every version. I think the only version I don't have is the Slifer the Sky Dragon jump version, but the OG YuGiOh, Yami, Atem, Yugimoto, Seto Kaiba, who is the coolest, the most badass, the douchiest, but you gotta love the OG YuGiOh. Joey Wheeler from Brooklyn, and you got Tristan. The Abridged series, by the way, was amazing for anyone that hasn't, or in general, if you don't watch Abridged series, man, I think between the ages of like 12 to honestly 18, I watched the Abridged series every single night without fail, either Dragon Ball Abridged or YuGiOh Abridged. But anyways, if you haven't watched the OG YuGiOh, I know one of my favorite YouTube channels, RTTV, is doing a rewatch, and eventually I will actually start from episode 1 and watch with them, but yeah, I played Yu-Gi-Oh since I was basically 7 or 8 years old, and I've had so many different decks. My wife has banned me from buying more cards. She told me I can't get into the One Piece trading card game as a result of this. But yeah, it's kind of insane the amount of decks I have. For those of you who played, I played a Numeron deck. I was getting into playing Sky Strikers as well. But you know, I played, I went to tournaments and I have won a few. And I like kind of making like meta-breaking decks. I used to have like a pretty cool Utopia deck because there was some real good support for Utopia. Utopia is my favorite archetype. So, you know, I was really known for being that guy that wasn't playing like a super meta deck. But, you know, when Zexal came out and the Lightning, a lot of people started to kind of see Utopia as kind of like a meta archetype. In a sense, like, it's never going to be Sky Strikers or like, you know, the craziness that was, you know, Burning Abyss or all that other stuff back then. And maybe I'm naming a whole bunch of old archetypes, but, you know, those were the things that were killing it back then, like Cosmos, like that was the meta. The Salmon Greats, I also have a Salmon Great deck that used to do pretty good, but yeah, my most deadly deck is definitely my Numeron deck. Generally, like 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna OTK you if you have no defense for that. So anyways, that's enough gushing over Yu-Gi-Oh, but if you guys like Yu-Gi-Oh and you want me to talk about like my Yu-Gi-Oh history, tournaments that I've won, and maybe even go over some decks, because I think I did ship that to Japan, so there's a possibility to do some Yu-Gi-Oh content later if enough people are interested. Number 8, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. The Code Geass series, I loved it. I watched it years ago, and honestly, I'm due for a rewatch. I might actually watch that with the wife. I've been thinking of doing some react content, so like, if some people would be interested in like seeing me or even me and my wife react to that. She's Japanese, but you know, she doesn't really watch anime all that much. I did make her watch all of One Piece though, which she thoroughly enjoyed from the beginning, so, you know, that's, yeah. Anyways, I may do a rewatch of like some of these shows, because just going through these lists, like so much nostalgia is popping back in my mind. But Code Geass in particular, how epic. First of all, Flo, the opening. I met Flo. The band is amazing. They did so many different anime openings, but it's not about the music, it's about the anime here, at least in this case. It's kind of nuts, you know, how long ago I watched it and the effect it left on me. Like, what a cool concept. Like C2, Lelouch, Suzaku, everybody, Nautilus, how precious. Like, that series is gonna get this rank because it's just so iconic for me. It's like, I would call it a better Death Note in a sense. Like, it's strategic, it gets you thinking. There's some tragic moments as well. Not too tragic. Like, I can rewatch Code Geass, unlike Iron-Blooded Orphans, but you know, I'm gonna put it high up for those people that like, you know, strategy and thinking and even a little bit of the mech aspect, because you know, I'm a Gundam fan, so you know, you mix in, it's like mech Death Note basically. So you can't really go wrong with that. But Lelouch is a genius. Seeing him, you know, get played, outplay people, the twist that series takes, it definitely earned its spot in my top 10. Number 7, and this one might surprise people. Digimon. Specifically, Digimon Tamers, which is Season 3 with Takato and Henry and Rika. Because, you know, back then, Matrix was all the rage, and they would have their Digivice and their... Like, I thought it was the coolest thing when I was younger. I'm really partial to Guilmon, as much as I like Agumon. You know, Gallantmon, I have a tattoo of Gallantmon actually. It's my favorite Digimon. Like, the whole night motif, the way that Takato actually fused with Guilmon to become his mega form. I will just never forget it. It is the ultimate nostalgia. I mean, Digimon Adventure 2, nostalgia for sure. Especially Adventure 2. Adventure 2 is very close to being my favorite. Like, I would say that Tamers Season 3 and Adventure 2 are like really almost even. So you can really consider it both of them, but specifically Tamers and, you know, my love for Gallantmon or Dukemon for those of you who watch the Japanese version. Absolutely unreal. Digimon gets a lot of hate, especially from Pokemon fans, and I'm a huge Pokemon fan as well, so I'm not gonna, you know, talk crap either way. I tend to believe that Pokemon has much better video games, and Digimon has obviously a much better anime. Not to disparage, you know, Digimon games or the Pokemon anime either, but the Digimon anime, there's tons of seasons. You know, you got Adventure 1 and 2, you got Tamers, you got Frontier, you got Data Squad, you know, and then you got Cross Wars and stuff after that. I haven't really followed too much after like the Time version of Cross Wars, which is like where they did the huge crossover at the end, but yeah, I'm in with Digimon. Behind me, I'm not sure if you could see, my chair might be blocking it, so I may also need to post a photo, but I hope to you know, make one of those levels completely Digimon. I already have Greymon and Metal Greymon. In fact, let's go ahead and show there. I got Greymon, which is one of the most iconic Digimon there is. And of course, I got one of my favorite Metal Greymon. I'm working on my top 10 Digimon. I'm definitely going to do some Digimon content on this channel, but yeah. And then I'm going to actually build the Amplified War Greymon. It's on its way from Canada, and I'm super excited to build a lot of Digimon figures, and then yeah, love him too from the original adventure. So yeah, definitely super cool. I got a bunch of Digimon stuff, but again, a lot of that is currently en route from Canada, which in fact I heard it's already in Japan, so I'm just kind of waiting until they drop off that, and then this room will, I don't know where I'm gonna put all that merch. Anyways, so Digimon, nostalgia reasons, remembering, you know, when I used to watch it on Fox Kids, because, you know, then in Canada you were able to watch some American channels on TV, so just like Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd be able to watch Digimon on Fox, which was amazing. And yeah, as much as, you know, Adventure is gonna have the nostalgia win, I think that Tamers is definitely my favorite. Frontier is great too, but I'm just partial to Season 3 and Season 2. Number 6. Oh yeah, Guren Lagann, baby. So, Guren Lagann, animation, characters, story, everything over the top. Simone, Kamina, oh my goodness. Yoko, and again, this is going through memory lane, just going through it. I'm having such fond memories of thinking through it, but it's cemented in my top 10 just because the feeling it gives you, the motivation, the drive, the drill, everything. My drill will reach the heavens. Some people asked if my channel name, the Galaxy Shogun, has something to do with, you know, the last transformation at the end, which I won't spoil on because the names are quite similar. But it is not. But it could be. I mean, why not? If it works, it works, right? That's just a cool coincidence. But yeah, Guren Lagann, again, like I've said, I'm really into shows that have iconic characters. Kamina, that's all I'll say. If you haven't watched Guren Lagann, you need to watch it. Simone, you really picked up the slack, and Yoko, and you know, it's another one that's a bit tragic, but I think it's happier than Iron-Blooded Orphans and Code Geass, so it goes a little higher. I mean, I'm a shonen fan. I'm partial to, you know, happier endings, so it is what it is. But if you haven't seen Guren Lagann, man, it is just energy and motivation and hope. Doesn't everybody need some hope now and again? Number 5, Durarara. And oh my goodness, is this an underrated one in my opinion. Durarara, almost more than, well, I guess I got 5 for a reason, so I won't say more than anything else on the list, but, you know, the feeling of being immersed and the characters, you know, Mikado, Henri, the whole cast, Izaya, Ikebukuro. I watched this before going to Japan the first time. I think the first time I went to Japan was something like 8 or 9 years ago at this point, and this show kind of pushed me to take a solo trip to Japan by myself, and it really changed my life because Ikebukuro just looked so exciting. You know, you had so many different characters, you even had black characters, and it was like, you know, obviously this was an anime, but seeing Ikebukuro in that light and everyone just going around, every single person had a story, every single person had a motive. Some people are surprised to hear that I would rank Durarara that high, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and there will definitely be a rewatch at some point. Again, if there's enough people interested, I might start rewatching some of my favorites, because, you know, I loosely remember plot points, but as you saw in that interview, guys, I'm a big anime fan. I've been watching it for a long time. I've watched like 100 or 200 titles, I think. I've stopped updating my anime list a while ago, but I think, you know, it's something around that. So, you know, rewatching some old favorites, not too bad of an idea. Once I catch up on a lot of the newer stuff, I'll probably consider watching Durarara. And if you have not watched Durarara, please watch it. Izaya is such an instigator, such a shit disturber. I love his character so much. He's definitely my favorite character. I love characters that just make the show interesting. What can I say? So, if you haven't seen Durarara, the characters, chef's kiss, perfect. The plot, the twist, and it's not overly sad either. Like, the whole mystery with Celti, it's like, you get good mystery, you get good characters, you get that warm feeling like you're immersed in the city of Ikebukuro. And to this day, I still love Ikebukuro. For those of you who don't know, Ikebukuro is a real city in Japan. It's actually where the Pokemon Center is, and there used to be a jump amusement park in there, in the mall there, Sunshine, I believe they call it Sunshine City Ikebukuro, or that could be Akihabara, but yeah, I think it's Sunshine City Ikebukuro, so, you know, I can never forget about Durarara, as that's the show that quite literally brought me to where I am today, you know. Here I am, 8 or 9 years later, and I am living in Japan with a family, so you never know what will happen, and I can definitely say that coming to Japan, as much as I wanted to do it and was watching anime far before that, it pushed me lights. I was immersed. That in Terrace House. Number 4, Jojo. Finally, Jojo. I'm sure you could probably see I got, you know, some JoJo books there. Maybe it's kind of hard to see, or you've seen it from my other videos, but I got a ton of JoJo figures and stuff coming from Canada, so JoJo's going to be represented more once it arrives. Back in Canada, I used to have, you know, posters of every single part in my living room. Like, my living room was nuts with JoJo stuff. If I could find a picture, I'll post it. If not, then too bad, I guess. But, you know, I love JoJo. You know, Araki is a genius. And, yeah, I basically like every part. To be honest, like, part 6, I found some of the fights to be a bit convoluted. I've read up to part 8. I haven't finished part 8, but I've read up to part 8. Part 4 and 7 are my favorites. Part 5 in the anime was fantastic. I didn't read the manga for part 5 because I started reading the manga after part 5. I read Stone Ocean and Steel Ball Run, and again, I'm in JoJolion right now, but yeah. I should really talk about more how much I love JoJo, but that could be an entire video on its own. Dio is such an iconic character. I actually have a JoJo tattoo, like the star birthmark, though honestly it was a pretty cheap like apprentice tattoo, so it's kind of fading, which kind of makes it look more like a real birthmark, to be fair. But yeah, I love JoJo, specifically part 4 of the anime. Out of all the parts that are out, definitely my favorite. So yeah, I'm a huge JoJo fan, and I'm so excited to make more JoJo content. Please let me know what your favorite JoJo part is. Part 7 is going to be great, by the way. I know I said that, or maybe I didn't say that, but let me just... Part 7 is going to end up being my favorite part because it is my favorite part in the manga, so I'm sure the adaptation is going to be unreal. Johnny Joestar, Jiro, that's all I gotta say. Diego, that's all I gotta say. Ringo Road again, well, that's all I gotta say. Don't get me started on JoJo. We can go all day, literally. Number 3. And this one seriously may surprise some people as well that it's being ranked this high. A lot of people haven't watched this series. Kio Hitman Reborn. Oh my goodness. This series, you've seen a theme so far of me loving series with good characters, good plots, like development. The development of Vangolo Decimo, Vangolo 10, Tsunayoshi Sawada. His development, oh my goodness. The first 20-ish episodes are hard for some people to get through because it's kind of like, what's going on here? Is this like really a shonen? This feels more like some slice of life stuff. But after that, stuff gets real. You know, basically the plot of that is he is named the boss of a mafia family, and there's a bunch of powers. Again, I don't necessarily want to spoil, but I love that series because any series that does like the reoccurring theme and passing on wills, you know, Vongola 10, which is the main character Suna, as well as Vongola Primo, which is the original founder of the Vongola family. The similarities between his family and Suna's family, I just love it. And the way that they power up and the development and the time travel, chef's kiss. I was seriously obsessed, and I'm so sad that the anime stopped where it stopped. If I become rich, if I ever become a super successful YouTuber, like something crazy like that, I promise to bring Kio Hitman Reborn back. I promise. I will do whatever it takes to bring that anime back because it's a travesty that it ended where it did. Number 2, Yuyu Hakusho. Now, I've alluded in some other videos that I prefer Yuyu Hakusho over Hunter x Hunter, and I still feel that exact same way, honestly. Yuyu Hakusho is basically the perfect shonen. Yeah, the perfect amount of plot twist, the perfect amount of character development. It is unreal. An iconic opening. Smile Bomb, oh my god. That is one of the best anime openings of all time. But again, this isn't about music. I could do like my favorite openings. If this video gets to like, I don't know, let's say 40 or something like that, I'll do that video sooner. But you know, the reason that I love Yu Yu Hakusho is Yusuke Urameshi, it's smoke on sight with him, man. He's just always ready to throw down to kick someone's ass, but at the same time, he's human. Kurabara, one of my favorite characters, the development that they had, Hiei becoming more human, Kurama fighting with himself and his past. It is amazing, and it's surprising the amount of people that haven't watched Yu Yu Hakusho. It's quite sad, actually. More people need to watch it. I don't want to spoil much because it's just such an experience. You know, the OG tournament arc, man. Like, there's definitely animes that probably did the tournament arc before Yu Yu Hakusho, but this is why I praise Togashi as such a good writer. Most people praise him for Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter has its good things. I'm not a hater of Hunter x Hunter or anything, but I gotta say, Yu Yu Hakusho is basically the perfect shonen. That's why it gets number 2. Before we get to number 1, which honestly should be pretty obvious to anyone that spent more than 4 seconds on this channel, I figured we'd go through some of my honorable mentions because, like I said earlier, seen a lot of anime and didn't want to go through these videos without going through some that really deserve a shout out that honestly were pretty close to making the list, but you know, has to be the top 10, not the top 15 or top 20, so here are my honorable mentions. Dragon Ball Z, Darling in the Franxx, Gundam Seed, Devil is a Part-Timer, Kuroko no Basket, Welcome to the NHK, Full Metal Alchemist, Beyblade V-Force. And number 1. I think nobody's going to be surprised with this answer. The GOAT, the greatest, One Piece. What can I say about One Piece? In fact, I'm going to force myself to keep this short because I do want to, release a video about what makes One Piece as good as it is and why it's the GOAT, to a lot of people, including myself. The character development, the emotions, the real things that are tackled, slavery, human trafficking. You look at drug use, you look at a show like One Piece and you go, what? The thing about pirates covers all of that? Yeah. One thing that people say about One Piece is that they don't do deaths a lot, but when they do deaths, when it happens, let's just say that. So, the character development, the world building, it is the best of any piece of fiction, non-fiction. It is insurmountable. It is the top. Oda is a god. The characters, the development, the goals, just like Guren Lagann and a few other things I mentioned, you just feel so motivated. One Piece saved me, and that's why I'll always be a big fan, A lot of people go through things in life. I remember when I was going through a lot of things, I felt like I had nothing, and that show saved me. That show, I can't tell you how special One Piece is to me. It's the reason that I try so hard to get people to watch it. It's the reason that I go so hard defending it when people slander it. I think a lot of people don't really give it a chance. They go into it and they decide that they're going to hate it before they watch it, or they have a preconceived notion, or they watch the English dub, because the English dub, in my opinion, is not good. I'm sorry, don't want to be that guy. There's some good English dubs, including ones on my list. YuGiOh English dub's good, which is for kids, which is surprising. Yuyu Hakusho English dub is god tier. Even Code Geass English dub is great. There's tons of good English dubs, but please do not watch One Piece English dub. Even the Funimation English dub, I'm sorry, Funimation, you do an amazing job, and I'm not here to slander you, but I think that it's a disservice not to watch the original Japanese, specifically for the series One Piece. And I'm a One Piece purist, and this summer I'm going to go to Kumamoto and do content finding all the statues. Kumamoto's in the tropical part of Japan, so it's not quite easy for me to go right now, but I will definitely make a trip there. But yeah, I'd say if you watch it with a clear heart and you watch it Japanese sub, your life will be changed. And some people say it takes hundreds of episodes to be good. Absolutely not. Truthfully, I fell in love in One Piece from Baratie, which is around episode 17 to 20, if I remember correctly. That's when I knew I was watching something special. By the end of Arlong Park, I was just completely sad, because with One Piece, I watched One Piece when it was on Canadian TV, and I was more of a Naruto guy. I actually was kind of a hater of something like, 15, 20 years ago. So, it's because of what I saw on 4Kids. It wasn't comparable to Naruto. Even Naruto had a great English dub, so a lot of people didn't take 4Kids One Piece seriously, and honestly they shouldn't have. A lot of things that they changed were just unnecessary. But when I got older and, I was early high school and I decided to watch it, wow, I was so disappointed that I didn't do it sooner. If you haven't watched One Piece, please watch One Piece. I'm gonna leave it at that because I do want to do a video about how One Piece changed my life. And yeah, speaking of One Piece, I just did some unboxings of some super amazing One Piece figures that I got at some lotteries. So if you want to see some unboxing content and some real cool figures, check out the video I just posted. Anyways, that is my top 10. I think nobody's surprised that One Piece is number 1, but let me know if anything on the list surprised you. What is your top 5 or your top 10? Let me know, and if there's any animes that you think I would love, due to them being adjacent or, based on the taste that I let you know, please let me know. I'm definitely in the mood to watch a lot more anime these days, and yeah, super excited to watch a lot more. So thanks again if you made it to the end of the video. I will catch you later. Peace out.